We all know that automation is intrinsic when it comes to building any kind of data warehousing or data infrastructure, but just how much is AI helping with the process and how much more will it help in the future? That's what we explore in this week's episode of the Data Radio Show. Hello there, welcome to this week's episode of the Data Radio Show. This time round, Sam's going to sit down and have a chat to Jonas, who is the VP in charge of marketing at Vaultspeed, an organisation based out of Belgium that works really heavily within that automation field. They're going to have a little chat as well around how AI is evolving and helping them do what they do best and what some of those outcomes are for end users and clients. But before we get to that particular conversation, don't forget to hit that like button or share button or subscribe button or leave a comment down below. It always helps to feed the algorithm a little bit. All right, now let's jump over to that conversation.
Well, hello, viewers and listeners. Today we have a slightly different discussion going on. I'm joined by Jonas from Vaultspeed, and we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the evolution and, shall we say, developments that there are in the data warehousing space and some of the changing customer demands that Vaultspeed are observing in the marketplace and how they're responding to that. So first of all, welcome, Jonas. How are you doing today?
Hey, Samuel. Yeah, thanks. Doing well. Early morning here in Belgium. I guess a bit later for you guys, New Zealand, right? So that's
Down on,
that's
yes.
the beauty of these online interviews. No one knows what time it is, but doing well, thanks.
All right. I guess the world of data and AI engineering is moving at a tremendous pace at the moment. I guess one of the questions that I've got for you are, what are customers, and when we're talking about customers here, it's data engineers, data analysts, data modelers, etc. What are they coming to Vaultspeed and asking for that's different to before?
I guess they expect more from the automation solutions and from the automation vendors. Whereas, yeah, before a few years, or the proposition that Vaultspeed really started on was data vault automation, right? And data vault also automation can be used to build a comprehensive integrated layer of all the data sources that you have in your organization. And that's great. It's a perfect pattern. You can automate it very well. So our offerings were based roughly around that. And we also, over the years, developed some capabilities downstream into the presentation area where we allowed people to code their own automation templates, say, for their own business logic or the modeling that they wanted to apply downstream. But people keep asking us more there. Focus today is on the data product delivery. Especially if you already have a data vault built out, then the next step is always, how can we deliver our data products, our marts, our whatever applications you're trying to feed with the data? How can we feed them as fast as possible with the highest quality possible? So we get a lot more demand from capabilities downstream, and also the way in which we deliver them. The coders are typically happy with a solution where you could code your own templates, but there's a lot of people that are a bit, refrained by that. They also want some more graphical capabilities in there.
Well, I suppose that's one of the things with the emergence of large language models and chat interfaces and prompt engineering, is that there is an increasing demand for no-code, low-code types of environments. So I guess that might be a dimension to all of this. And I imagine that the demand in terms of the diversity of use cases has gone up, and there's a requirement for greater agility as well in delivering data products.
Yeah, greater agility, greater speed also. I mean, if you build a data product today, it might be very valuable, but maybe tomorrow it's going to be completely obsolete. Um, and again, if you have a solid foundation there with Data Vault, that's like the perfect, you're set up for success already, but you're not there yet, right? You need some additional capabilities. Um, and yeah, that's something we have seen. I mean, the past 5, 7 years, let's say, we've been all talking about data mesh and how we should deliver data products on a shared infrastructure, but with distributed teams. We don't necessarily have to, mm, yeah, have to be that tightly aligned anymore. Everybody can do whatever they want. Um, yeah, honestly, that has delivered some success stories, but not necessarily always. So that's also why we kind of those two streams together. Let's say the fact that people ask for more and more quick delivery the business layers. Let's say the presentation areas is where we see also in Vaultspeed, where we see two different capabilities and two different products arise. On the one hand side, we have in Vaultspeed the data vault modeling capabilities that we've always had, and we see those work in a more a less mesh approach, let's say, a more centralized approach, where a central team could build um, foundation layer for integrated data across the organizations to serve each and every domain. And they could do it and they could keep up with the demands of the downstream domain teams because of automation, because of the fact that they have automation capabilities in place with Data Vault. They can build massive integration layers that could be placed there as a part of the infrastructure. Um, and by infrastructure, typically people mean, okay, we have a database, we have an operating system, we have um, some other solutions in place, pure from a technical point of view. We have storage, we have a lake somewhere. So with with Vaultspeed or at Vaultspeed, we believe that you want to uplift that definition of infrastructure to already add some business value on top of that infrastructure. That's what makes it valuable. And that's something that a centralized team, having Data Vault, having automation can surely deliver. And then on the other side, you have your domain teams, the ones who have to build the data product as quickly as possible. Well, if they can use that shared foundation layer, you already save them a lot of time in terms of, yeah, how do we handle the data delivery, the incremental loads, all that stuff has already been covered. And they can just focus on the business functionality, on the specific rules that can be applied there. And for them, we're actually building a new interface in Vaultspeed where you could really graphically create among these teams across different domains. Also, they could create their own shared library of automation templates and of business logic to accelerate data product delivery even more. Let's say that's what we're working on.
So it's speeding up the delivery of business value and of data products to the wider organization.
Yes, so the data domain teams, they could still work separately, independently of each other because they serve a specific domain. But typically, if you have a data demand in a specific domain, the data itself is almost never going to be limited to the domain on itself, right? You might have some use cases, but let's say you have a marketing team that wants to track a bit better the profitability or the way in which their marketing campaigns really matter. Well, they will need more data than just the data about their campaigns and their own marketing efforts. They will probably need some data about profitability, sorry, and other metrics that come in from the finance department, maybe. So you need data from different domains. So if a marketing data domain team can use an integrated layer where they can find all that data, all those single versions of the facts really, inside that integrated layer, well, then they will speed up their delivery of their own data products tremendously, because there's a lot of ground that has already been covered for them, and they can focus on whatever is important, on the definitions by which they want to see and build their new data products. That's the idea.
So one of the dimensions of business value, especially these days, is around data governance and data quality. How do this new approach, or this more diverse approach to delivering business value and data products, actually also improve your data governance, your data quality, etc.?
Well, that's exactly one of the things that this approach will fix, because those two were two main issues or problems with data mesh. Data quality was hard to govern, because and also the governance over what has been built, that was hard to govern, because everybody was doing their own thing. They had their own rules, their own hard rules, their own ways of integrating and looking for the data, other data within the organization. So yeah, how do you apply consistent data quality rules if everybody's doing their own thing, basically? How do you apply or set up consistent governance on the data if everybody's doing their own thing? That's almost impossible. Even more, some regulatory requirements. How do you make sure that within every single data domain, everyone applies by those requirements of GDPR or the other versions of that exist around the world? That's almost impossible to achieve. Now, if you have a centralized layer where those things can already be safeguarded, that makes it a lot easier for your domain teams to safeguard those principles as well. And yeah, in terms of data governance, my opinion is always, if you want to make data governance possible and easier to implement, you have to start with the structure and you have to start by reducing the complexity of your data itself, and that's something you can do by integrating it and by having a central team that is in charge of delivering that integration model that adheres to your business model, that everybody in the organization should be able to understand, if they also understand and work by that same common business model.
Right. And what sort of evolution are you seeing in terms of the demand for data products? So you touched on how Data Vault was kind of the central core of an approach, but more recently there've been different schools of thought around the integration or a hybrid approach using data mesh and now data fabric as well.
Yeah, so data mesh has been around a bit longer. Data fabric is a principle that has been coined by Gartner, and I've seen some presentations on that. Honestly, I kind of like it. Fabric is organized and centralized around activation of your metadata, even to an extent where you would have something that we call proactive metadata. So metadata that could warn you upfront, and that helps you make sure that certain things that you don't want to happen are, you make sure that they just don't happen, because you have like an early warning system for issues and problems that could arise. Proactive metadata. They focus a lot on automation and all those things. So honestly, if we would combine both fabric and mesh together, we see it more in the same way, and it's also an approach that was put forward by uh, one of the Gartner analysts that I saw presenting in London this year on their data analytics summit event in May. They put forward that the delivery of the data, the delivery of what we at Vaultspeed can see as that centralized foundation layer, should be built and governed more in a fabric approach. Automation, metadata, those terms have to be top of mind there. And then the delivery of the specific data products then can be set up in a more mesh approach. And honestly, if you map that to the architecture that Vaultspeed has always recommended before, that could actually work pretty well. And yeah, that's how I would structure them together.
And to what extent do you think working with large language models that's driving some of this more flexible approach to the use of data and how you deliver data products?
I think it definitely matters. It applies to, or it's part of the reasons why the speed of the demands are always increasing. People get new ideas more often, see new potential value drivers more often, and yeah. For example, if you would, you have several applications today working on more business users could query data, not by writing the standard SQL that we've all been writing for the past 30, 40 years, but the actually using plain English to ask a query to a database. The problem is, how do you structure the data? How do you build your specific data product in a way that the AI application is able to do that in a consistent and proper way? I saw a presentation on Tuesday from someone who had studied a bit on this topic, and yeah, he raised a lot of issues and a lot of problems that an LLM could have querying a certain data set. Let's say you have multiple paths between two entities. You have like the delivery address and you have the invoice address, something like that. Yeah, if you don't give enough context to the LLM, how is it going to be able to give you the right answer by following the right path down the data model? That's not easy. And I think accelerated data product delivery, accelerated structures that could feed the applications in a way that they would hallucinate less often. Yeah, definitely one of the reasons why we get more and more demand on the delivery side. Yes.
Right. Okay. And maybe to sum it up for listeners and viewers, what three things should they take away that Vaultspeed is committed to enabling them to do more effectively?
Yeah, we believe that it's indeed about delivery. That's the most important word that we hear today around the office of Vaultspeed. So it's about delivery. It's about enabling people to make that delivery happen. And it's also about support from Vaultspeed. We've always believed in a strong embedded support within our solution that basically puts the problem on our end if there is any issue with Vaultspeed templates, for example, for the data vault methodology. That's our problem. It's never the customer's problem. Those kind of things. Because if you go or you start following the path of automation, you've decided in your organization you want to do automation. Yeah, it's not that easy, right? So very often you come across issues that take quite a long time to solve if you have to solve them on your own. Yeah, we believe that some of these issues or a lot of these issues have already been solved by someone before. And yeah, people shouldn't reinvent the wheel or do stuff that isn't going to bring them direct value. Customers of Vaultspeed should be able to focus on building their specific business logic, their specific answers to the problems that their business users have. That's where they should focus on, and less on the nitty gritty details of delivering data indeed into an integration layer. That's something that we've been doing for the last 20 years, and it's something we want to share with our customer base.
So I guess one way to sum it up is that as the demand for data products and delivering business value increase, you're offering clients a better, faster, and more cost-effective way of delivering that value and those data products.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the current current economic climate, let's say, cost effectiveness is indeed also a very, very important topic. Um, we've been working a lot around ROI use cases, and the cool thing is that we have a track record, let's say, a benchmark database on which we can do some proper calculations there, just to see how cost effective it is compared to building your own automation or other solutions out there in the market. Um, so yeah, that's an important one, but it comes also with the delivery. Yeah, cost effectiveness is one thing. Being part of the solution to drive value is another one. And if you can do both at the same time, yeah, that's where you want to be, right? And that's where we always try to be with Vaultspeed.
So from a market pressure standpoint, what are you hearing from clients and customers? That they're under pressure to deliver more and at a lower cost, or in what ways are the screws being tightened, shall we say, in terms of cost management?
I think cost is an important one. Sometimes people come towards us indeed, and I think it was in June I had a conversation with someone, and he told me that they had built a planning and they had put it forward to their boards or their board of directors to build out a data platform, let's say, to serve certain needs that the company really needed. And they told them that the entire project was going to take around 2.5, 3 years. And their board said, well, that's way too long. So either we can make that shorter, or otherwise we're just not going to do it because it's too long and it will cost too much probably. If you need to have a workforce build out that thing in 3 years, it's going to be too costly and we won't see the value soon enough. So that was their problem. And their only way out was indeed finding ways to speed these things up, which is of course why they started looking into automation solutions.
Yeah, I suppose the compelling event, as they talk about in terms of sales, becomes important. Like it's not unusual for projects to not get the funding because they're not the time to value is too long, and the perceived risk that's associated with not doing it is not that great.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, a lot of what we perceive today as value also automatically contains the element of speed. And that's exactly because of the risk. Because if I tell you, hey, I'm going to, let's say I'm a car salesman, and you come to order a car in my dealership, and I tell you, yeah, the car's gonna be delivered in 2 years, and you're gonna be like, the car automatically becomes less valuable to you because what the hell, 2 years? That's a long time. And second, you already also perceive the risk of the value it might have when it gets delivered. Let's say you wanna buy an electric car. There's a lot of technological advancements in the electric car industry. So if you get a car that was built on paper today, let's say, with the specifications it has, and it will be delivered in 2 years, you will have an old car. That's simple as it is. So that's you could draw that parallel into the data product delivery business as well. I mean, if I'm going to tell you, you will have a data product in 2 years, how as a business unit manager will you be certain that it's still gonna have the perceived value that you think it has today?
Yeah.
Difficult to say, right?
Yeah, and I guess this is one of the effects of the widespread, I won't say adoption, but the use of AI in and how it's changing paradigms around value and perceived value. Because using your analogy or example there, it takes 2 years to deliver a data product, that you're starting to see AI models do similar sorts of things. Obviously, not the same thing, but in a fraction of the time. So there's this perceived issue. Well, actually, coming back to your point around time is actually part of the value proposition there. That by choosing to do nothing, there's a good chance that some AI tool that's in development at the moment in some startup may be able to actually solve that particular problem in a different way completely in 2 or 3 months' time.
Yeah, true. On the other side, I think a lot of the discovery of what AI can mean for us is still happening. What is interesting to see in the last couple of months, you had a lot of let's say stocks on the stock market related to the AI industry. Yeah, there's a bit more. I think the first wave of hyper excitement was a bit over.
The hype.
There's still a
Yeah.
hype. I don't think the hype is over yet, which is okay. Yeah? That means people are still interested and people still want to learn more and investigate more. But there's some sort of realistic. The more realistic views are also entering the entire domain. Let's say, like, how realistic is it that we can solve this use case or this use case, or are there enough use cases that make sense or would have any value today? There are, but people are starting to see also some of the problems more, some of the issues towards value, and that's what we've seen on the stock market. That's an immediate reflection of that realism that was kicking in, let's say. I had a good conversation with an analyst a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he made a statement there saying that, well, we shouldn't try to boil the ocean with AI, meaning that AI has applications in which it is very good and where we should definitely use it, but there's also some applications where where it's probably not worth using an AI solution to fix our problem. Not boiling the ocean and really thinking hard on where it can deliver the most value, I think, is an important task for anyone who's working with AI and trying to solve problems with AI.
Yeah, I guess it's a tool that has its place in certain situations. I also perceive that it is altering business models, though. That's one of the things that's a little bit different about AI. And I suppose that's true of any digital technology, that there has been, that over time it has altered business models. That's the whole point of digital business. So yeah, it's a question of over what time frame. But it is interesting that it is that we are through the hypes, some way through the hype cycle, but I think we're just at the very beginning of seeing what becomes possible using it. So
yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to draw a line under our conversation now that we've meandered into one of my pet subjects, which is obviously around artificial intelligence. But Jonas, thanks so much for being with us today, and thanks so much for your support from Vaultspeed.
Thanks for having me. Enjoyed the conversation, Samuel. Always great to be on this show.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the Data Radio Show. If you've enjoyed this, there's heaps more available on our YouTube page or wherever it is that you get your podcasts from. You can find audio and video versions on the YouTube page, and of course audio versions across podcast platforms. Don't forget again, like, share, subscribe, tell people all about this particular episode. Until next week, have yourself a fantastic time, live long and prosper.